Some economic experts believe a soft landing is wishful thinking, but former Obama economist Jason Furman says otherwise. Take a listen.
Are we within striking distance of a soft landing here?
I don't think so. I think people are getting out over their skis. The labor market data looks great. But now let's go look at the inflation data. That's been running core inflation, underlying inflation, about 4.5% for the last year. Pretty consistently. We haven't seen much progress on actual inflation. We've never seen inflation fall by 2.5 percentage points, which is what we need, with unemployment anything like where it is now.
Joining me now is Art Laffer, former Reagan economist, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, and author of Taxes Have Consequences. Art, good to see you. So let's get your take. Do you agree with Furman, and you as well? Happy Easter. Do you agree with Furman in his take on a soft landing?
I do. I think Jason's completely correct on this. They have not brought the inflation down. The core inflation is there. Not only is the core inflation there, but the balance sheet of the Fed has expanded right back up to its former highs, which is really bad news. If you look at fiscal policy, we don't have fiscal policy under control either. And if you look at state issues are really bad, Sean. So all of the ingredients are there for an inflation problem continuing on into the future, and a weakness in the economy. And I think Jason's exactly right. The economy doesn't look great, but the job market has been super, but it doesn't look great going forward.
So you mentioned the job market. We saw in the last report on Friday that you saw manufacturing jobs. We're actually losing jobs. The manufacturing sector is screaming recession. But Joe Biden's out there saying we have a manufacturing boom. How do you read the manufacturing numbers as a telltale sign of what's happening in the economy?
Well, let me just say I wouldn't say screaming recession or boom, either one, if I can. I think the manufacturing jobs are not the ones we should focus. Okay, and you're right. It hasn't been good. That's true. But Biden's boom is clearly not true. I'd look at the overall labor market because a lot of these people can shift into and out of the things there. And you're seeing a softening of the labor market. The thing that kills me about the labor market right now is the participation rate, while up off its lows, is still at only 62.6%. When Bill Clinton was president, it was 67.5%. When Reagan was president, it was very high as well. We've lost a lot of jobs because people have left the labor market altogether. Now, that's also caused our unemployment rate to be low. But, when I look at the labor market, I don't think it's great. I think the unemployment rate's low, but participation is also very low, which is not a good sign. So
what do you do to up that, Art? How do you get more people back in the labor force? Do you have to take away benefits that people are getting that allow them to stay home? How do you get more people into the labor force?
Well, you don't pay them not to work. If you pay people not to work and tax people if they do work, you're going to get a lot of people not working. And that's exactly what we've been doing with this administration ever since the pandemic hit. That's all we've done is huge amounts of spending to pay people. If someone gave you $1 million or $2 million or $10 million, wouldn't you take the day off and maybe shout your friends a beer? I mean, that's what these people are doing with all these funds. They're spending money they didn't earn, and they're taking time off because they've got all that money. And our debt as a share of GDP has risen dramatically. All of that encourages people not to work, not to join the labor force. And that's where we are today. And by the way, it also encourages inflation. It encourages the expansion of the Fed's balance sheet. All of that's coming together to cause a higher inflation world than we would like and a lower employment world than we would like. And it's very hard to solve those two problems simultaneously.
Well, it's hard to solve them with Joe Biden in the White House, that's for sure. So I know that...
That's for sure. That's for sure.
To fix this problem, Art Laffer, Larry Kudlow, and I would all say, listen, you need pro-growth policies. Let's lower taxes, let's reduce regulation, and bring in more supply. That is not going to happen with Joe Biden. And so the problem is
spending restraint.
Well, that's the problem. That's my question. So you have the Fed raising rates trying to tamp down inflation, but on the other side, Joe Biden and Democrats are spending like drunken sailors. They're both working against each other. You're not going to bring inflation down until we do have spending restraint. We have fiscal discipline.
There's so many problems that it's hard to list them all, but they're trying to raise taxes, which hurts the economy. They're not spending. They're putting in no spending restraints whatsoever, which is the wrong way to go on spending. They have not got a sound dollar. They don't have any sound monetary policy. They're increasing regulations, not reducing regulations, and they're increasing trade barriers. Every single one of the major pillars of prosperity, Sean, they are going in the wrong direction. I just wish and I just hope that Republicans get off their duffs and stop doing all these other issues and focus on the economy. It's the economy that matters. Low rate, broad-based flat tax, spending restraints, sound money, minimal regulations, free trade, and then get the heck out of the way and let people solve the problems which they can do so well. That's where we need to go. But these Republicans, Sean, are into investigations, they're into this, that, and the other stuff. And that's all a sideshow. We need to go on the economy. We need to be the party that can take care of the economy, the providers of prosperity, the purveyors of a healthy economy. That's the key issue. And if you like our economics, we welcome you into our party.
So, Art, I disagree with you a little bit. I do think the Congress, I was there for 9 years, they can walk and chew gum. They can do investigations. You can do that on oversight and judiciary. There's a lot of committees to do a lot of work on the economy. They can do them both, and I think both are really important. But you bring up a good point. What are Republicans doing? So we saw last year that the Senate, under Democrat control, passed a big spending bill that brought us a spending package to the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of September. But there's a debt limit negotiation on the horizon. Art Laffer, if you're advising Kevin McCarthy, what should he cut? What should he push Joe Biden to do to raise the debt limit? Where do you get the most bang for your buck in that negotiation?
The most bang for your buck you get is when you have those funds that are paying people not to work.
Yeah.
Now, everyone wants to help people who can't work. They all want to do it. But if you go beyond that, so you encourage people who could work to not work because they get the benefits, that's where you go. Now, Larry has done one, Sean, that I like very, very much, work requirements to get those payments. That's a super way of reducing the negative impact of government spending. If you're going to get those things, you got to work, you got to look for a job, you got to try to be in the labor force. That's wonderful. Work requirements are great. That's the way I'd go on this with regard to spending.
So, Art, just one quick note. In Wisconsin, there was a Supreme Court race
Sure.
last Tuesday. The conservative lost, the liberal won, but that issue, work requirements, workfare was on the ballot, and it won in Wisconsin with big numbers. So I think your message is getting through, Art. You and Larry are winning the day. If you're going to get handouts, you're going to get benefits,
but we lost
you got to
the
work.
Supreme Court situation there.
No, I know.
Sean,
Listen,
we lost it on social issues, and we shouldn't be the
Art,
social party. We should be the party. We're the stewards of the economy. We're the providers of prosperity. We're the people that get you high-paying, good jobs and good education, good process, not these social issues, not these examinations of all these investigations.
But Art, I'm looking for a bright spot.
I just disagree with you on that issue. I don't think we should be calling for Mayorkas impeachment. We should be calling for tax cuts and pro-growth policies all the way, just the way Reagan did.
I'm trying to bring a bright spot today, Art. And
how's that for you?
We will disagree on that one because I want to call them out and I want to do it all, Art. We got the House. Let's get it all done. Thank you for joining me. You're always great. Now he's smart. Now he's so much fun.
You're wonderful.
Thank you.